Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Matriarchy Show. I am sitting here next to powerhouse creator, director. I don't know. Do you still consider yourself a poet? Do you still dabble? Because I don't consider myself a poet anymore.
That's criminal.
That's why I'm checking.
Oh my god.
No, we what happens is we just phase through different creative outlets over the years. So we're gonna go with director now.
Yeah, I don't. But you do it all, and some of your poetry is still. It still sticks with me. You have that line, what is Towers and Tree Roots, and poem. And so you're always a poet, but call yourself what you want.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something. I feel disconnected from poetry now, and I think what happened is I don't know. There's this saying that people always talk about, which is like the Chrysler 300 looked like a Maybach until it was like put next to one, and then everybody was like, "Oh fuck, that car is tiny," and that's actually the real deal. And I think I did that with my own brain when it came to poetry, like because I loved poetry so much, I started just like indulging in it more and just like surrounding myself with poets. And then I realized that I was preferring their words and almost like taking up unnecessary space there. Like I started to look at my own shit and be like, this is a worthless poem because I just read something that was communicating the same thing and it like shook the fuck out of me. So let me just put this pen down and go act somewhere or something.
My favorite part about that is you just use such a beautiful metaphor to explain your point. So.
Yeah.
But
but that's true. I mean, I also feel like it's not really fair to qualify art.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
agree.
So then I don't know. It's a whole whatever. So you've been making a lot of film stuff lately.
Yeah. The thing I'm working on right now, I'm editing a short that I shot this summer, and it is called Parts, and it was crazy because I took 3 years to write this script, and it's like 5 pages about my breakup that actually has to do with the first guy who knocked me up.
Oh, wow.
So it took me 3 years to process that, and I couldn't shake this like grief and this like bitterness that I had towards him, which I think stemmed from the fact that, like, he broke up with me the day after I had an abortion. And so I had so much, fuck you, like, this should have fucking happened to you. And, like, a lot of toxicity that I brought to the end because of that.
Yeah.
And it absolutely needed to end, but because of how it ended, and then I was like, my body had to go through this, not yours, like, fuck you. And then we never talked after we broke up. And
what the hell is that timing? Why did he do that?
I understand why. It was a really bad... I mean, I understand as best as I can. We never talked about it. Mm-hmm. He blocked me on everything. And, like, if anyone ever feels bad...
Fuck?
Yeah. I know. So this film I made is literally a conversation with myself about, like, closure. I literally gave myself the conversation that I thought I needed, and I wrote it, and I made it, and I watched it, and I cried while we filmed it, and I was like, I didn't need anything. I gave it to myself.
Ooh.
I always will give it to myself. Like, it's done. I don't have anything to say to this person, but the timing is... Like,
wow, that's beautiful.
You can't go to men to understand the things that our bodies go through.
Yeah.
And what it is to be a woman. And I can't expect... I expected it to be empathy when I guess the best I could have asked for is sympathy, and I didn't get really either.
Oh, okay. That's interesting because it would have been impossible for him to really fully grasp what was going on with you. Yeah. Wow, I think it's beautiful that you've like kind of come to terms with what happened and aren't just like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Because like I get that. That makes total sense that we can't expect him to fully understand, but I just don't like the timing of that. Like, so what were you think, like, so what do you think about it? Like, why did that unfold that way? Like, why that timing? Why did he have to leave and block you the day after? Like, I feel like there could have been some time there where he could have understood. I don't know, because people break up all the time. Like, not break up, like, literally break up, but are still in each other's lives for various reasons, like supporting each other mentally and emotionally and shit like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm so curious, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Why'd you disappear?
So that's so interesting because I, like, grapple with this. Or I did, like, that was a huge thing, was like, why can't we just be positive? There's a line in the film that's like, all I wanted was one conversation to button this shit up so we can look back on our past and, like, think about it fondly.
Right.
But I think when you're young and you're going through essentially trauma, you have to be willing to look at your own ugly and your own faults and what you're doing that's reactive almost to the trauma rather than like, I don't like the word blame or anything, but it's like you have these knee-jerk reactions when you're young and you're going through something for the first time. And if you're not willing to look at your ugly, then you're not going to be able to move forward. So
you're gonna run too.
I stopped being like, oh, I want to force this person to look at this situation head on when he really didn't have to. Yeah. Guys don't really have to when that shit happens. Like, they can look away. And as much as you want to be like, fucking look at it. Look at what happened. Yeah. Which I don't want to say that, like, the abortion was traumatic. I want to be very clear. Unplanned pregnancy is traumatic. And I think that's a huge reason that we need to talk about abortion, because there's nothing talking about it. We talk about whether we agree or disagree, but we don't talk about it.
Yeah, and that's it.
I don't want to
pro-life or not, and that's all.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck that conversation. Doesn't matter. It didn't affect my choice. There's a lot of girls that they might have the freedom to not be burdened with a choice. Like, they just have it in their gut, what they're going to do. And that trust is, like, so important. But we, like, take that autonomy, again, from women by making it about do you or do you not. And it's like, fuck that. Like, if you're going to do it, you should know people's experiences. We should be able to talk about it for what it is.
Right. And somebody just did some coverage on it. There's a woman out here. Let me get her name, because I don't want to just be like, so this lady.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Her last name is Foster. Is it Diane Foster, or is that a famous actress? Okay. Diane Green Foster. She actually did a study, because there were these women who, there was nowhere else for them to really get an abortion within 150 miles, and that's why she chose that place. And some of them were given the abortion, and then some of them were denied because they were just past the window. And so she was checking up on them, like, mental health-wise, financial-wise, like, how are they doing, and what are the results of it. And, I mean, I hate to say that it sounds predictable, but of course, like, the women who were able to have the abortion, who had access to it and they were able to receive it, like, they were financially, like, just more well off, not just because, like, they didn't have the abortion and so they just, like, skyrocketed, but it wasn't planned. And so they needed more time before they were even going to be able to bring a child into the world. Like, they wanted more time is the point. And I feel like maybe there's, like, a misunderstanding about why people want abortions in the first place. That is, like, where the hang up is.
Can we just talk about how fucking crazy it is that, like, that's even a hang up? Because I agree with you, it is. But do you ask a man why he wants a vasectomy? It's because he doesn't want a baby. Right. So you're going to ask me why I want an abortion? It's because I'm not ready to be a whole ass mother.
Absolutely. And there's always several reasons on the list.
Oh, yeah, always.
But very few people are able to pinpoint, this is the one reason why I don't want to be a mother right now. But usually it's very complex.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the other thing that I think I had the freedom because of my age, too, that this happened to me. And because of the confidence I had in myself, like, I feel that I had this freedom to be like, I can't pinpoint it, you know, like, this is the man that I thought I was very serious relationship, you know, like, and I think circumstances don't matter. I think that what it is truly like, in that moment, I think it's possible if you are in an environment that's conducive to lifting you up, like I had so many people around me and my friends in my community that they were, like, gassing me up all the time. I had good people around me, and so I was like, oh, I don't really know, but, like, to me, there wasn't even a question, and I didn't have to think about it. I was
right.
It was just, like, it was calm, too.
Yeah.
And I have religious parents. Like, I knew that everything.
Did you tell your parents, like, at the time? Wow, you are so fucking brave.
And that's the other thing, too, is, like, I don't want it to be that way, because, yes, and I know right now, like, that's the overwhelming response to talking about it. Yeah. And it's, like, this is so common. If you have a uterus and you are sexually active, you are subject to this happening. Yeah. And I hate that discussing it is, like, which, thank you, and I agree it is scary, but I want that to change for other people. The conversation really shifts, too, when you have two. Because that psychology, my second time, was dark. And I had it was a whole other journey. Wow. It was dark. Because I'm like, oh, am I stupid?
Because I did this twice.
Because I did this twice? Like, am I?
Wow, absolutely fucking not. But that's crazy that those are the thoughts. And they, like, do you feel like they were your thoughts? Like, you were genuinely feeling like you were dumb? Like, feeling...
No. And
that's what it sounds like societal pressure.
It's crazy. There is such a lack of conversation on this. When the first time I got pregnant and I told my parents, I, like, told the guy, and I was like... I went and I told my dad, and I was like, who's a pastor. That's, like, a fun tidbit. And I was like, hey... and I can't even explain it, Tries. My insides were so at peace. And I said, Dad, I think I'm pregnant and I'm about to take a test, and I just wanted you to know because I was raised a certain way and I don't want the shame that can come with, you know, being secretive and holding things inside me. Mm-hmm. I'm not ashamed of this. Like, this is right for me. Also, my dad was my number one champion for getting a degree. So he knew, and he didn't say hardly anything in that conversation. He got real quiet. Because what happens if I have a baby? I end up with this guy. Do I get my degree? Do I not? He was quiet.
So he understood your choice?
I think so. That's how it was silent. That's why I interpret his silence. Right, he didn't... Right. My mom cried and begged for days on my bed. Like, I was like, definitely. And I had to just be like, I mean, it didn't shake me. I would have thought it would have shaken me, but I was so like, this isn't for you.
Wow.
You heal how you need to. Yeah. I'm not.
And I think it's beautiful that you, like, just power through your mom crying on your bed and let her have that, and then, but stayed, like, stuck to your guns, because I had the impulse to say, like, my mom would do the same exact thing, because, like, my mom is extremely religious, and like I don't tell her a lot of things that just like happen in my life and whatever, because I don't feel like she can handle the information, or that I can trust her with it, or whatever. But then I think about, you know, like, the experience that some of my older siblings had, and like, they went through this and they moved on, and like, my mom doesn't say anything about it. She's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's your journey.
Yeah, it's your journey, and you can kind of, like, I don't know, I feel like you can magnify other people's perspective about your journey, but at the end of the day, it really is yours. And they'll get over it. Yeah. If like, whoever has opinions about it, like, that shouldn't be the big thing that stops you, is like fear of what other people are gonna say, because most people do experience, like,
yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so the second one. I kind of, like, really want to tell you about the second one, because that was like the weirder one. Like, the first one I was like 24, and that one was just a journey, because, like, logistically, I got the medical abortion the first time, which is like a shot, and like, it was spooky, and like, it also was crazy to me that, like, the reason that we don't really talk about this conversationally, I think a lot of reproductive stuff is pretty private, but in general, it's wild that people are so open to talking about, like, being against abortion. But the second I'm like, oh, I'm so pro it, I've gotten two, people just get uncomfortable. And I'm like, but there's people comfortable enough to, like, hold signs. There were literally people picketing when I got my first abortion. Yeah. And I was like, why did these motherfuckers get to be out here saying I'm killing babies? But the second, I'm just like, no, that I'm, like, proud of what I'm doing right now, because it's what's right for me, as told by me. You remember that show, As Told by Ginger?
I loved that. I loved that show.
It's As Told by BRENNA, okay? But, so for the second one, I was like, okay, so I was in school, and it was like, same shit. Tits get huge. That's my thing, too. It's like,
ooh, that was your warning sign?
Tiny boobies. And all of a sudden, they were massive. And, like,
wow.
For me, I was so big that I didn't get morning sickness or anything, which I did the first time. But this time, I was like, my boobs are so big. And I had a one-night stand. I, like, had not been going out a lot or anything, because I was in school. And I kind of, like, it was my end of I had 1 year left. I'm like, rock it out, like. So it was my birthday weekend, and so we went out. I had, like, gone crazy. This guy ended up, whatever. I, like, do you ever, like, sleep with someone and then you're like, oh, I hate that I did that? This was, like, I was like, you're disgusting. I was like.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that was, like, that. I was like, you need to go.
Right away, you're like, yeah.
I hated it. I was like, get out. And I was like, the next day, I was like, I woke up, I pretended I was going to Philly that day. I was like, bye-bye. And
we're in a rush, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, you've got to go, bye-bye. I'm, like, fake packing. But so then it was like, I hadn't slept with anyone, and all of a sudden my boobs were big, and I was, like, not in any form to have consented that night. So, like, it was all a blur, you know, which is, like, fucked up in its own right. But that's part of what went into the psychology, too, of, like, this is messing with me. Like, you should know better type stuff.
Yeah, because the whole story feels a little...
Yeah. So my boobs get huge, so I literally Charlie Brown walk to the nurse, like, to the medical place in my school, like, head down. I'm like, here we go. I literally know what this is. And I pee in the cup or whatever, and then the nurse at my school has, like, the audacity to walk in and be like, okay, so your test is going to be, like, sent in soon, like, in your results online, and you can check it on your phone. And I looked at her and I said, are you kidding me? I just came in here because I think I'm pregnant, and you're going to tell me to go about my day and check my phone later?
Yeah.
I'm going to sit in this chair until you can go downstairs, which should be in about, 3 minutes, and tell me what those results are. Do you understand me? And, like, I was hormonal, and I was like, you're a woman to woman, don't even, it set me off. And that's the other thing, be autonomous of your healthcare. Yeah. Women aren't told that. I was like, imagine if I was 18, undergrad in school, like, I would have gone about my day.
Left. Absolutely.
I would have it's New York, too. I probably would have got hit by a car in a daze. Like, I remember I was walking, like, crazy to that campus. Like, I was not with it. You know, I was just like, oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
She comes upstairs. She goes, you're right? She goes upstairs. She goes
3 minutes?
Upstairs. In those 3 minutes, though, a lifetime of thoughts went through my head. And I worked it out in that time, sitting in that office. I was like, Brenna, you haven't done anything that you wouldn't have done. Like, you drink, you aren't irresponsible. Like, what is that even irresponsible?
Right.
Your only crime here is that you have a uterus.
Yeah. Right. Like, all of this is just reasonable stuff.
Yeah. Like, do you not, and unless you are like, I'm not a virgin, sorry, mom, dad. Sorry.
Surprise!
Sorry, Elliot. I mean, I was born again when we got together, but, you know.
None of this counts.
None of it counts. But I'll just say, like, that's it. That's the only thing. And anyone can become pregnant. Like, that's why I was like, because I really felt like shit. And then the nurse comes back, and she looks at me, her face, and she, like, shut the door, and she goes, as soon as she shut the door, I just start bawling. And she's like, yeah, you're pregnant. And I was like, you're not dumb. This happened. Right. You're going to deal with it. She printed out, I said, I need you to get me all the clinic information in the area, blah, blah. I was fortunate enough to have it covered by insurance, which is not the case for most people.
That is so rare.
So rare. That's the other thing. We don't talk about this, like, logistically.
You can move this if you want to.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are we good?
That's perfect.
Okay. So, logistically, we don't talk about either, like, that there's, like, a wait period. It has to be a week after you find out. Mm-hmm. And so, like, there's, like, a week of waiting for it. And there's, like, you have to find the right place. And, like, it takes time to find out if your insurance covers it. So there's just, like, a lot of logistical, like, loopholes that, like, are really stand in the way. Yeah.
Did you also have to get a sonogram? Like, did you have to get a sonogram? Did they ask you, like, about knowing the gender and stuff like that?
Yes. So you go in and you get the sonogram, and then they're like, do you want to see it? I recommend saying 30 times to their face, because I've heard horror stories of being like, if you don't want to see it, I don't want to see it, I don't want to see it. And I literally kept my eyes shut in case they fucked up or, like, tilted the screen on.
Yeah, because the screen is going to be right
in your face.
So,
I was like, I'm not, and then they'll ask you, do you want to know? They don't know gender at that point, really. At least for me, I know sometimes they do. But they do ask if it's twins. Do you want to know? Which I thought was interesting. And, like, part of my brain was like, I want to know. But then I was like, I don't want to know anything.
A curious person, and it would just be fun to know if it weren't going to be, like, later maybe swirling around in your brain, like, for no reason. Mm-hmm. Because, and of course, if we live in a different society where it wasn't, like, frowned upon and stuff like that, you could know that stuff and be like, okay, interesting, and move on. But because there's so much else attached to it.
What's up?
I was wondering about that because that is, like, a government mandate, which is ridiculous to me. Like, it just seems like another tactic to, like, push you to change your mind at the last minute. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a lot of stuff like that. It's so messed up. And even the lady it's the thing is we're so conditioned that people don't realize like what they're saying. So the nurse looks at me, and it's a mandate for her to be like, is this your first, or I'm guessing it's like protocol. She's like, is this your first time getting pregnant? And I said, no. And she was like, oh, so you've had an abortion? And I said, yes. She said, okay, let's talk about birth control. And I said, I'm not here to talk about birth control.
Yeah.
I know, I'm not, and that's the other thing, like, I'm not stupid. Mm-hmm. I have my own issues, trial and error with, like, I know my body, and, like, I don't need to talk about that today. That's not what I'm here to talk about. And so just that question really made me feel like, also I was super hormonal, but I'm like, do you think
it's offensive because they assume that a person who is there to get an abortion is one of the most irresponsible people on the face of the planet. Like, we gotta walk you through next steps and everything like that. And that's not necessarily the case. Like, of course, there are gonna be some irresponsible people who are out here getting abortions, and then there are gonna be people who are making just able-bodied decisions.
Right. But I just, even that sentence of, like, there are going to be people out here making irresponsible decisions, getting abortions, sure. People are out here being irresponsible as a part of human life. That's adolescence. This is general. Growing up is reckless. It's ugly. It's like there's shrapnel at every turn. So why is it that this one, say someone's like in an irresponsible, reckless time, like DUIs, like speeding, like whatever, like say even a car accident. You know, why is it that the one consequence of this action is then to be a whole ass mom and to bring a baby into this world? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to bring a baby in that way. Like, and everyone has their own thing, you know, and that's it.
As
and I'm like, I don't think I was irresponsible, but like, even that is a privilege for me to say. I was lucky. I was lucky in a lot of ways that I can like I can like think about my life in a way that's clean and tidy, and I don't think a lot of women need to even have that conversation with themselves, because just trust your journey, and like if it was a mistake, you're gonna make more, you know, like that doesn't mean that you need to go through, that's like, what is that, then you're having a baby for some sort of penance for your recklessness? Is that like
pretty much.
And it's like, I'm so sick of other people deeming what is right and wrong for women specifically and only. Like, that is not the case, baby girl. Like, and I say that too because I was looking for resources my first time when I was going through this, like just anybody else, you know, and there was two things that I found. One was a YouTube video that was super dark and like good for her if she had her face in it. That was the only thing I found, was this one girl on YouTube saying my abortion experience. And then there was a Chelsea Handler essay in Playboy, which I love Chelsea Handler. But she starts the essay with talking about she was 16 and she was in a really bad place in her life. Okay. You don't have to be in a really bad place in your life to justify having an abortion.
Yeah.
There's just all of these things where I'm like, you wrote that for a specific audience, which I respect. I'm not writing for Playboy, you know, but like at the end of the day, I was in the best place in my life when I had my second one.
Right.
Like, I'm not here to say that I am more valid than the 16-year-old girl who like whatever was going on in her life. You know what I mean? Like, there is no rhyme or reason.
Did she give more context? Like, what does she mean when she's saying she's in the worst place of her life? Like, is that
she's being a bad girl?
Yeah.
You know, she was like doing drugs. She was she was partying. She was this. She was that. She was like, her brother had died. Like, stuff like that. Where like she was going through, like, again, her own life.
That's interesting, because if she hadn't had the abortion and had just like gone through with all those other things, just like the partying and whatever, like I wonder if she still would have looked at that like a bad place in her life. Well,
and I think that people always have like their like rock bottom.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you go to jail, or maybe you know, something happens and it's like, oh, that was like my rock bottom. That was my sobering moment. But I don't think an abortion needs to be that.
I don't think so.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah, especially because of the freedom that people get back after they're able to go through with the decision, because there's so much stress involved in it, and so much just like anxiety and just like scheduling it, going through all the process. What are other people going to say and think? There's so much that goes into it. So by the time you're done, you feel like a whole weight has fallen off of your shoulders.
And I think that it's that, and it should be that, but I think the burden of keeping something like that a secret because you are terrified of what people will think is its own like prison that people will carry forever, because secrets in general, but like especially when you think that you did the best thing but like you can't say it. I can't imagine what that's like.
I guess it's that people won't understand that it was the best thing.
Right.
The obstacle.
But I have a fun anecdote about a woman who's like an angel for me, who worked at it's actually like a block away from where my boyfriend lives right now, but it's like the Planned Parenthood in East Village in Manhattan. Like, first of all, amazing Planned Parenthood. Like, everyone there was just an angel. And I walked in and I was shaking because I knew I was getting the surgical one. And there
is that what you're saying when you say medical? You mean surgical?
No, the medical abortion is a pill and a shot. Some variation of that, depending on the clinic. Surgical is when you go in and it's like a machine.
Okay.
And a gown and doctors, and you can opt in for anesthesia or not, or like I got half anesthesia. And there was the check-in lady, and I wish I knew her first name or something because she is everything to me. So I walk in and I'm like, she's asking these routine questions, and I'm like, I'm like, yes, I've had an abortion before. No, I'm not an idiot. You know, I'm like kind of like just over the questions, and I'm like, but to be honest with you, I'm like really scared. And I was like, do you know anything about, like, what I'm about to do? Like, the last time we got the medical, and it was the most physically painful experience in my life. I've never physically felt anything like this before, and so I'm scared. And she goes, oh, my God. When I was 16, I got a surgical abortion, and it is a fucking breeze, girl. She was like, she goes, my best friend had one 2 months before me, medical abortion, and I thought I had to call 911 because she passed out on the floor in pain. So she's like,
okay.
She was like, I don't know why they offer that. I don't know why.
Ooh.
Not to knock it. I'm not saying that's everyone's experience. I had a bad experience. This woman had seen that in her friend and was like, not me.
Yeah.
She said, I walked in, I'm out, it's done, it's a breeze. And so I'm like feeling a little better. Mm-hmm. And then I go in.
Dope. She's dope.
I wanted to cry. I'm pretty sure I said I love you. You know me. I'm sitting there in the chair and I'm like, oh, I love you.
Like, I feel it and you need to know. Yeah. I love you.
Yeah. Like, and I'm going to carry that forever. Important. She's in a part of my journey for life.
Wow. That's so interesting. I mean, so she had her own experience that kind of helped her to be able to pass that on to you, that positivity and the optimism about it.
Yeah.
What are other people not understanding? Like women who have not experienced this, or like people of different genders who just like can't relate, like who might be able to have sympathy. Like, where is the disconnect? Because like it can't only be going through the experience that lends you the empathy that you need to understand what someone's going through and to be able to hold space for them. You know what I mean? Like what is the disconnect? Why are you not able to just like support people's choices regardless?
That's so big. That's so
like
real.
Other than the fact that women's health. We police women's health just in general.
Yeah. What first thing came in my mind, I mean, you just said there has to be another way to sympathize with this other than going through it. And that like really hit me because I'm like, whoa. I think it also comes down to there's just no respect if you really look at it for women. And I think, I mean, and I'm a white woman, you know, like I have this privilege where like I think that I have a confidence and I take up a space in a room that was like so, like very much formed by my experience and my privilege to be able to like think that I'm entitled to like advocating for myself in a way that's been encouraged that I don't think every woman gets. And so it's like how do you respect? You have to respect that a woman is capable of being a product of all of the things that she has gone through to navigate on her own. Like, think about it, like, without mom, without dad, without, like, even, we think about, like, the nuclear family in a way that's, like, they're always, like, guiding you, but there's personal things that's, like, they can't, but we police sexuality, we police, like, you know, and if you're religious, that's a whole other bag, you know, because it's, like, I was, you know, raised personally, like, you don't masturbate, you know, like, or what, you're gonna go to hell, which, like, to me is hilarious looking back on.
So sex negative.
So like, sex negative. And, like, everything negative, like, be quiet, be respectful, be nurturing, be, you know, right out of the Bible, quiet and gentle spirit, which I've always been tough with that. Like,
yeah,
taking
what
that.
do you do when that's literally just not who you are and also not what you want?
Like, why are you questioning a choice that someone else made? You know, like, why is it that, like, we police? Because I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good thing. Like, why are you questioning that? Because the idea is, like, do you think you're smarter and more capable of making that choice for them?
Or that you could have avoided it yourself.
Yeah.
If you have, you're lucky.
Yeah, but it kind of goes back to that thing of, like how we were saying before, how it's really not a choice of, like, irresponsibility. Like, that's not what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. But so then we have to just change that perspective on it. It's like, you are not in this position because you were irresponsible and at the lowest point of your life. Like, you made a choice. Yeah. And your choice is to no longer be pregnant. Mm-hmm. And we can empower you in that decision without thinking, like, oh my gosh, she's a victim of abortion. Like, this poor girl, she's going to have nightmares for the rest of her life. She's going to dream about that baby.
Like, everything you're saying is just so real. It sounds like hyperbole, but it's like, that is exactly the way that we talk about this.
And like, I hate to actually, like, I don't really think about it, I hate to joke about that because I do know one person whose experience that was. Like, she got an abortion and then she was having nightmares about it for like a year and then like moved on from it. But I think that, to be honest, I think that it was like being in a religious family, right, facing a lot of pressure. And then also, like, I remember like going to this clinic with her and seeing those people outside. You know what I mean? And like at the time I was young, so I didn't really process like what those things even meant. Yeah. But, you know.
And how much of that experience, which I am positive so many women have, and it's like how much of that comes from you and how much of that comes from being told over and over again that you are supposed to listen and be a good girl and like do what's right for the family, to be like morally high ground. Right. But it's like we don't get to choose.
Can you do me a favor? Can you make me a drink? When you come back.
I was trying to be as quiet as possible.
When you come back, can you make me a drink? You could take your stuff if you want and then make it.
I'm just giving a sweater to Bill. She was to find a different sweater to film in today.
Also, very quiet. I didn't even hear you.
Yeah, that's my niece. She's visiting from Houston.
Hi. Oh my God, that's so fun.
Yeah, she's fun. I really want to, I'm actually like interested in getting out there, and I never thought about how those people are standing outside of that place picketing when it's time for you to go in there.
I thought it was fake. I thought that was like, I was like, there's no way that's real.
Yeah.
In the suburbs,
actually, like, we should actually genuinely go and hold up, like, counter signs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, just, like, to comfort those people who are going in and doing that.
There's also volunteer opportunities for people to escort women who are getting an abortion. So you walk them in and you shield them from that. And it's like...
That's good. That's important.
Because you know what, too? I'm thinking of this right now, which is, like... If we encourage women to trust that you pick your, like, my dad would have a heart attack hearing this, but, like, I think that morals are subjective. Like, you pick your values, right? Like, morals is, like, a little bit arbitrary to me because that's sort of, like, set by society. You know, there was a time where there was, like, fucked up morals, like, 40 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there still are. There always will be. Like, I don't agree with my dad's moral code compass because it comes from a truth that is not my truth. Like, so it's like, if we tell women, like, you pick your values, you hold them close, like, you might value career and family and friends while someone else might value, like, not that any of these are mutually exclusive, but, like, maybe I value, like, self-respect and, like, my, you know what I'm saying? Like, not everyone values family, not everyone values the same thing. Definitely. And you get to pick them. Yeah. And so if your gut is telling you, like, oh, this is what I need to do for me. Even, like, say it's like, oh, this is unplanned, but I am going to be a mom. This is for me. Like, it goes either way. It's like, that comes from you. It's just like, how do you block out the noise and know that, like, you are capable? Yeah. I don't care how old you are, because this is now your, and there's this Cheryl Strayed, she has this book called Dear Sugar, and it's like an advice column that she did, and I found this the day before my first abortion, where it's like, someone's really upset about a divorce or something, but it's like your life, it's like you're standing on the shore and you see like this ghost ship go by, and it's like the life that you could have had if you made a different choice, but you didn't. So the most you can do is watch it go away and like be like, I love my choice. This is the literal, tangible life that I am in. And I can respect that there was another one.
Right.
But it is not tangible. It is not real. It is not in this life. Yeah. And I can just salute it and say, whichever one that is, the other one, but it's like, you made that choice for a reason.
Right.
Trust it. And whichever one it is. I'm not against unplanned moms. Good for you.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That's what you chose. Like, yes.
That's the point.
Do whatever you think, that's the life that you're in.
Right.
No one else picks that.
Yeah, I guess we can just do better at helping people to just make empowered decisions on whatever they are.
Yeah, that's a good way.
I like how the conversation has been changing too, because you mentioned that your father is a pastor, and my mother is a pastor, and all into the ministry stuff, but just recently, and I hope she's okay with me saying this here, because people get canceled all the time for their different views or whatever, but my mom is pro-choice,
right,
and she's a pastor.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just asked her to make me a drink, and now the ice.
You're good. Wait, can I pee?
Yeah,
it just hit me.
Yeah,
let's
pause and take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about pastors.
And also that's amazing for your mom.
Yeah,
because the outward pressure.
My mom is a pastor and minister, and she's pro-choice because although she personally doesn't want to make the choice for abortion, she doesn't want to inhibit anyone else's personal choice and rights to a safe and legal procedure. And I just think it's so beautiful because she also, it's been a long journey with her. My mom is in her 60s, she was born in the 50s. So she's been around for a lot of just America being stuck in traditionalism, religion and all kinds of stuff. And now, I have a cousin who is trans and uses who doesn't really come around our family anymore because it's just been difficult. And my mom was talking about him the other day using the proper pronouns and using the proper name instead of the dead name. And I'm this woman who is in her 60s is really coming a long way, and it was inspiring to me because it let me know for a lot of the time I'm baby boomers can't change.
Wow.
They can't change. There's nothing to it. But there is something to it. There is a way to, when you have your own experiences and your own opinions and perspectives, put those aside because someone else's autonomy has nothing to do with you.
Oh my God.
And just realizing that, and just realizing that she has realized that, it just makes my heart so happy.
It never stopped critical thinking and growing for the sake of loving other people. I'm going to your mom's church, and I don't even believe in God. That is powerful.
Yeah, she's cool. She's really cool.
That's powerful.
And I hope that as she gets stronger in her perspectives and just because some of the choices we make are intuitive. So you know how it is when you talk to other Christians, you got to have your arguments, you got to have your facts, you got to have your research behind you or whatever. But as she compiles that and prepares herself to have conversations with other Christians and ministers, I'm just really excited for what that can do for our community. Wow. That perspective. Yeah,
that's powerful because there's people that we're having these types of conversations for, you know what I mean? And then there's people who are just kind of that's not my conversation, but your mom can reach those people.
Right.
That's not who I can talk to. I've completely shut that door when I have bitterness that I deal with. So I'm really inflammatory and kind of intentionally I belittle it because that's my bitterness. So I can't reach those people, but someone needs to. So the fact that your mom has been able to evolve is true and stay true to her faith. That's the type of Christian that the world needs.
Yeah, because it doesn't really matter what your own personal views are at the end of the day. Yeah. People deserve a right to safe and legal procedures. And
that is
we want you to understand that it's not irresponsibility. It's not you being at the lowest point in your life. We want you to be able to understand that. But first is stop taking our rights away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stop taking our rights away, and then we can break down to you why.
Right. Just think about it. Just fucking thinking about it. How many conversations have you overheard? Have you seen? Have you been a part of that have to do with should she, shouldn't she?
Oh, goodness. Every day.
Now think about how many have you had about what the fuck it's to drive there. to get the shot to be to talk about morning sickness with someone who like doesn't have a baby. I can't even tell you the amount of times I know what I'm doing, but like I'll drop like, oh, I remember my morning sickness. And people kind of be like, you don't have a baby. And I'll like see them figure it out for a second, and I'm getting really uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not uncomfortable. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, but like, oh my God, when I was pregnant, my tits were huge. And so I just kind of like,
damn. And that's so beautiful because I feel like that's what we need more of. Like, people need to know that people exist. People who have had it and are just like happy about life. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Happy with their choices.
That's the thing too, is after I had the second one and I got like the half anesthesia.
Is that just local anesthesia? Like you weren't asleep, but
no, I don't even really know. But I was like, I don't actually even know scientifically what that is. It's kind of like you're not knocked out. Like I was awake, but I was definitely high. I mean, it was a good time. I had a good.
I love anesthesia.
I was like, so it was crazy. So I walk in. First of all, Ed Sheeran's playing. It's like upbeat. I'm shaking. Ooh. I'm in the little gown, and I like started to cry. But I said, as I'm changing, I said, I just want to say this before like I forget, but I want to say thank you because I feel like you're saving my life. And I, in the moment of like my anxiety, I said something that's so not me, but I said like, and like I can't believe that like I did this again. Like I did something that was just like I can't believe I hopefully this is the last time, something like that. And this doctor is another angel of mine because she goes, what are you talking about? This is as common and as routine as a dental extraction. Wow. Is what she said to me as I sat in the chair. She goes, I was getting all sentimental, and she's all, what are you saying right? She stopped me dead in my tracks. She was like, what are you saying? Yeah. So then I didn't feel anything.
No, seriously, because it's like literally, like factually safer than a wisdom tooth extraction or a tonsillectomy. So.
And she was like, whatever. And I was like, whatever. So I go down. Next thing I know, I mean, they talked to me. They were great. This place was great. And then they just, like, gave me the anesthesia. And then next thing I know, I'm, like, getting wheeled out. It felt like a finger in me is what the procedure felt like. That was it. Because I was, like, awake. And it just felt like maybe, like, it didn't feel like anything. It felt like a finger poke.
So you would personally recommend I would recommend one you had, not the medical one.
The medical one felt like labor pains for like a whole night.
That's what I thought. When you said that it was pain, I was like, okay, maybe contraction, like kind of just like.
It's your body inducing labor and pushing something out versus 2 seconds.
Did you stay there for the whole procedure, or did you like get your shower or whatever and then leave? First one, the medical
one? No, you take it at home.
Oh, okay, wow.
So also that's another thing, like my parents, I had a best friend who drove me to my thing, because at this point, like, the guy was in New Zealand. Just like, whatever, a whole fucking thing. And he's like,
this guy pisses me off.
You have no idea.
He pisses me off.
And it's like, depends on which perspective, because he has valid points if you take it without context and with his side of things, which is, I was blowing up his phone, like, you motherfucker, you better wake up and be on the phone with me the day of this, like, on his end. He's like, she's crazy. You know, he's visiting his brother.
That don't even sound crazy, to be honest with you. Like, I understand why he would think you sounded crazy, but me, that don't sound crazy. That sounds justified.
And to me, my body was going through hell because, and my best friend, though, because my parents were like, I got it out in, like, far, and she drove me, and I remember I got a shot. So it's like, you get a shot for the first thing, and that, like, terminates. And they give you 2 pills that you take the next week on your own. And then that flushes everything out.
Oh, okay.
My friend, it was just like, I love my female friendships. Nothing will ever trump them. But she drives me, I get the shot, and then I sleep over her house for the night. I'm throwing up all night. I'm so sick. It made me so sick. And I had just been so sick, like, the whole couple weeks, the whole month of all of it. I was so sick.
Imbalances and everything.
So I'm craving Chick-fil-A before she drives me home, which is an hour. She takes me to Chick-fil-A, and then I throw up. I throw up the whole hour ride home. It takes 2 hours to get home. And I'm dry heaving. I'm just like, my body is like, the medicine is powerful. So then a week later, I take the pill, the first one. There's 2. You're supposed to take one, and then the next night take the other one. And ruined my brand new comforter too, which is like sad. But like, I'm on my couch. I put on Obama interviews to try to like be happy because there's a lot going on with that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I couldn't even hear. I was in so much pain. I was just in so much pain all night.
Wow. Yeah, we don't recommend that one.
I don't. I know
Let's
some people feel
the
better about
one.
it. But yeah, the second one was like, and then at Planned Parenthood, they like
a quicker process too, not only less painful, but
I was
faster.
out the same day. I will say that the pain for that one comes a little bit later when your uterus contracts back to its normal size.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's still, even that, it was like one night of like period cramps.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Oh my gosh.
Right?
I'm just so happy that this information is now out there.
Yeah, like you don't know this. And I remember being like, I actually wrote like a little piece about this back like a year after it happened, the first one, and I was like, nobody tells you this. Stop trying to fucking tell me about whether I should or shouldn't. I wish I was like, I felt a little betrayed by other women, to be honest with you. Like, what are you, but now, and that was at the time, I get it. Like, it's scary.
Of course, you have to work through that too, yeah. But no, I feel that.
So why did no one tell me? Why didn't no one tell me that I was going to ruin my comforter? Why did no one tell me that, like, I was going to go through this physically? Why did no one tell me that, like, I was on my own? Like, there's no one here who wants to, like, put their face to this story. So, like, we have to start encouraging that.
Yeah,
and maybe no one will, and that's not for anyone to judge. Again.
But you were talking about doing this, like keeping this on like a larger, like continuous scale, like the conversations around abortions, like having them like over time, like often. And I think that that's going to be important, very important, because one, like it doesn't exist, and that's what it's gonna take. Access to all of these different, like, all this nuanced information. Yeah. And that's what it's going to be, like, you know, that's what helps people.
It's complex.
Yeah.
We live in an age where we're like, oh, everything is right or wrong. And I'm a big black and white thinker. I'm like not, and in a toxic way, that's like my toxic thinking. But like, that's like, we are in this world where like, if your mistakes get shown on the internet, it's like, and I love cancel culture. Sure, that's hard to say.
Yeah, cancel culture. Yeah,
I love it because I'm like, you're not canceling the mailman. Like, look at who you're canceling.
Right.
All to say, we are in an era where like we just put our best foot forward in the public eye, and it's like that's not the way it is to grow up. I can't imagine. I hate when people say this, but I'm gonna say it. I can't imagine being like a teenager right now because it's such like a bumpy, ugly time. Like, let it be. It has to be. Otherwise, what are you gonna learn from?
Right. That's when you learn a lot too. You're really building your personality, building your own morals and values in that time too. Yeah. That's really when you start to disagree with your parents' traditional morals and be like, hold on a second, let me look at that a different way or whatever. And you need to feel empowered in that time. And that's kind of tricky. I don't know if the internet helps or hurts that. I guess it depends on the person, because I've met some people who are like 19 and 20, and I'm like, why are we on the same maturity level?
Right.
But it's because they had the internet in such a big major way, so they had access to a lot of information. But I still think that this is a gap that's missing.
Yeah, I agree. And people have these polarized reactions as well, where it's like, oh, I have to be like with it or against it, and like she shouldn't be happy that she had one because it's not good to have one, or like she shouldn't be, you know, because that doesn't. And it's like you can pick and choose what's right with you. Like you don't have to just be all or nothing.
Right. But I would definitely say, like, if you've had this, like, the abortion procedure and you've carried the guilt for a long time, consider this an invitation to let that go and embrace the choice that you made, because it was, you did your research, girl. Like, you went out, or a person, whoever you are, like, you did your research, you made your choice, and you followed your intuition, and you did it. And, like, we support you, and we're so happy that you made the choice. And so it's time for you to to start supporting yourself and to feel empowered in that decision. And a call to action, like, I mean, I know I'm going to be less quiet about it. Like, I realized, like, even just throughout this conversation, like, I realized that it's very important to, like, make yourself as a supporter known, like, as an ally for people who are going through it. Like, make it known that this is, I'm not an ally for a woman, I am a woman. Like, these are our rights, but just to vocalize your support for it, because people need that.
Yeah, and even your support of just, like, your life is your choices.
Your choices. That's what it's about. Yeah,
So,
making your choices and supporting the fact that this is the choice you made. This is why you made it. Mm-hmm. And then rock out.
Yeah, and I might disagree with you, but that doesn't affect your fucking choice in any way, shape, or form. And also, I'm super available always. I really want to be a resource for anyone who finds themselves pregnant without expecting to be and thinking that they want to get an abortion, because the logistics of what to expect are so detailed in fine print, and they will surprise you. Yeah. So I am always available for anybody who would need help navigating that in any way. I'm always open.
Yeah, we should let's put our brains together and see what we can do on a large scale for that, because I know that I'm sure people know, I'm always on the internet, that would have cost $350 if you got rid of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Come on, just get rid of that. People know, I'm so serious. People know that I'm so super abortion positive. Oh, yeah. But it's not just a joke. I'm serious.
Oh, but you know what? It can be both, too.
It's both. It's both. Joke. And that's the point. Let it be both.
Yeah, that's the thing is my friends know, I would be so excited for any of them to have a baby, which is funny because none of them want a fucking baby. But I'm also girl, I'm the first call you make, and I'm driving you, bitch. Your period's late. When am I driving you to the fucking clinic?
Yes. I've had my friends take pregnancy tests, and it comes up positive, and my question is so what do you want to do about it? My question is not so we're gonna have a baby now. What? No, my question, are we? Yeah. To be honest with you, that was his own choice. You became pregnant, and now do you want to stay pregnant? Because you don't have to.
And often, the pregnancy is just it just happens. That's not the choice. That's just it's just what happens.
Oh yeah.
So that's the biology.
Yeah. Right.
But you can. That's also. I think there's so many different things to mobilize on in this topic in and about women getting abortions. There's access, there's there's whether I'm not even interested in the should she, but there's just safe access, and there's acceptance, and there's empowering women, and there's these there's so much to it to move forward. There's funding, because underfunded clinics are where people go and they don't get the treatment they deserve.
Right. Sometimes they're so mean and stuff like that.
Oh my God, no eye contact. Yeah, they don't want to fucking be there. They don't give a shit. But I think another thing that I personally feel that I am supposed to do as an artist and just as a woman is just, my truth is that I'm very happy that I not only chose what I chose, but that I had this experience. I have a backbone that I didn't have prior to my first abortion. I moved forward. It changed my whole life. I don't feel I'm very selective about when I ask for advice, and I'm very aware when I receive it unsolicited. And I am I don't need anyone to tell me what to do. And I don't mean that in a reckless way. I'm not saying that I have this fountain of unfounded confidence, but I am saying that I am my first person. Yeah. And my last person to go to before I make any decision. And I would not be that person who loves myself, who is thankful for myself, who trusts myself, if I hadn't had that first unplanned pregnancy and been honest about it.
Yeah.
Changed my life for the better.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thanks. Yeah, that's so dope. Wow.
So yeah, we're gonna put our heads together and think about how we can move forward and maybe give similar headspaces. And like you said, whether it's over abortion or not, it's just empowering women to be you are so capable. You get yourself to where you are at the end of every fucking day, you did that day.
Right.
You did that day.
Reframing what it means to fail, how that even works, if that's even what happened to you and what you did. Because I feel a lot of times people feel they failed in an instance where it's really that wasn't even a failure. That was just a part of life.
Reframing what it means to fail. That is beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what's next up for you. What are you working on? What's coming up? Parts. It's in post-production right now?
Yes. Okay. Post-production. So that I guess would be in 6 months or so, you might be able to see it in festivals, but with the world happening.
And this is the one that is featuring Emily Mest, right?
Emily Knight.
Sorry.
But we love an Emily Mest too. I heard she's in a new show. Emily Mest.
Oh, okay, so that is, all right,
That's
sorry.
a different Emily.
For a second, I was like,
you can look her up, too.
That's a real person.
That's a real person.
Right.
Emily Knight.
Emily Knight, yeah.
Oh my God, you're going to freak out when you see her.
I can't wait.
Oh, she's
I'm
amazing.
so excited.
But I
Emily
do
is
have,
so beautiful.
I have a film that's about similar stuff, just like being a young woman and making kind of like what's perceived as the wrong choice because it's like has consequences and is bad. But it's called Let's Do Drugs.
Yeah. I've seen like a couple of like just like the screenshots like from the production where they look real cool. I can't wait to watch it. It's giving me just like fun like coming of age vibes. I love those. There's nothing like it. And also Let's Do Drugs. Like
I got a lot of fucking backlash on that too.
Really?
Yeah, and so
are they stupid?
No, it's like insane trend. So it premiered at Big Apple Film Festival in New York. I saw it in theaters in Chelsea, it went from mine, and then the last short in the festival was this one that was like super anti-drugs. It was like the whole ending, the whole thing was like he's outside of this punk show that he's wanted to go to. It was actually a dope film, like well done, but it just made me kind of laugh because it was like at the end some guy like offers him coke and he's like, no thanks. I think it's called Punk is Dead. Really well done, but just really funny that it was juxtaposed with my film.
Right.
And he's like, no, I don't want that. And he like rides his bike home. Like the whole film is him getting to the show, and he's freaked out because someone's like, here's some drugs, and he's like, no. And then he goes home to his mom, and the last shot is like him with his mom. And it was cute. It was
family
so cute.
film.
But in mine, it's like these three girls who spend the whole film trying to get the drugs.
Yeah.
And then like, you have to watch it to see.
Wow.
But so it's just like, and people are like, oh, so do you think your film is like pro or blah? And I'm like, it's a story. You decide.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Wow. But people wanted to know, like, so are you condoning drugs or are you not?
Every step of the way.
Wow.
Some people wouldn't be a part of the film. I had some collaborators that like wouldn't. Yeah. And I got that note in like editing my script of like, why are you ending it this way? Or like, I think you need a more stern, firm hand on that this isn't condoning drugs. And I'm like,
wow.
And I think it's like also important to know that it's 3 females like alone.
Yeah.
That shit's different.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing.
And also you.
Yeah.
That's because I feel like if you were a man, I feel like I've seen several movies made by men condoning drugs, like a crazy drug weekend, like what is it? Where they go the Hangovers.
Yeah, there's
you know what I mean?
We
love that.
There's like, I mean, and there's so many men, like we all love American Psycho, and he fucking chops a bitch with you know what I mean? Like, and that's the other thing where I'm like, the abortion changed my life because I'm in a male-dominated industry. And
let me tell you, absolutely.
And you get it. How many times are people talking back to you? And
let me tell you, with this podcast, Matriarchy, right, where I used to film it, like, I don't film there anymore, but they didn't want anyone to know that it was shot at that studio because my content is considered explicit. Now, mind you, like, they shoot music videos where people pull out guns, money, people are smoking weed, like, God knows what else, like physical guns in their building, like, and they're sharing it on their page, like, yeah, like, run it up, run the views up, but this is considered explicit and it can't be on there. It's way too much autonomy going on in this podcast.
Wow, no, it's good. Like, let's fucking talk about it because, like, absolutely not. Are you gonna walk around and like just get away with that shit forever?
Yeah.
Like, you're not.
It doesn't. I mean, you don't. And like me, I've always been a person who, like, I kind of always let karma do their thing. Like, let people learn their lessons. Let nature, let the universe teach them. Like, I try not to just...
I'm learning that. I'm not there yet.
Well, like, I mean, it also has to do with, like, upbringing, you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't the, like, there's, like, a strict hierarchy in my family as opposed to, like, who's able to tell, who's able to correct who's able to bring information to who, and, like, like, strong lines of, like, that's disrespectful if you're bringing information and stuff like that. So I've just learned to kind of, like, be quiet, and it's not, like, a strength of mine by any means, but it's just, like, a way that I am. So I just kind of let it rock out, but... That mindset affects your personal relationships. Like, when you're thinking about women like that and you're thinking about autonomy as negative, like, it's going to come out.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you think everybody's being disrespectful to you. You think everybody's kind of doing something wrong.
Right.
And I feel like that's just, like, a large, like, part of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Almost. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
quiet. It's a quiet part.
Yeah, it's very quiet, yeah.
Because you think, like, leadership and this and that. It's like,
Yeah,
is that what you're doing?
We're here to shake shit up.
We're shaking it up. This is the matriarchy, baby.
Oh, my God. All right. So, wow. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're coming back, like, ASAP.
Oh, my God. I would love that.
This
That
was
would be
fun.
the best.
Brenna, you should tell them where they can watch Let's Do Drugs.
And Let's Do
Yeah,
Drugs
yeah, yeah.
is on my Vimeo, which is vimeo.com/ like, thank you to my manager.
Yes, thank
to
you.
my boyfriend. They say
Shout out.
momager. That's boy-nager. Anyway,
Ooh,
I don't.
Voyager.
It was gross. Take that out.
It's a little.
We're gonna get rid of that and post boy-nager.
The boing.
Anyway, Vimeo.
Oh, a manager.
Manager.
Oh, fuck, that's the word.
Break the patriarchy.
Breakthrough.
We're gonna call my boyfriend my girlager.
That's the word.
Womanager.
Give me the one.
My boyfriend is my womanager.
Right.
He just came down to something. Oh my god.
That's psychotic.
That's
Wow.
okay. Vimeo.com/BRENNA Webb.
Bet. Okay, and I'll put it in the
best.
a bio thingy.
You're the best.
All right. Thanks for tuning into the Matriarchy Show, y'all. Love you. Have a wonderful, uplifted week, and I'll see you next week for some more shit talking.
Talk shit.
Woo woo.